Hey guys, welcome to Learning Plan 2. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so LP2 overview is during the next 2 weeks, we're going to review the general nature of business, leadership theory, and practice, and examples from industries, optimizing and restoring customer services. Additionally, we're going to prepare and review the information in each year's footwear industry report, competitive intelligence report, and the company's operation reports to gain knowledge of market conditions and their company's competitiveness in relation to their rivals as we head into the next decision round. So the learning activities for LP2 is you're going to consider your first 2 weeks of BSG activities, the resources under the players material tab, and teamwork. What did you find most informative and why? You're going to read chapters 2, 3, and 9 in Factory Physics for Managers. You're going to review the latest competitive intelligence reports and its content before entering any upcoming decisions relating to pricing, advertising, delivery time to footwear retailers, and all the other decision entry variables. You're going to consider how the company's competitive effort compares to rivals and to the industry average effort years over year generally. Gosh, that was a mouthful. And like I said, guys, don't panic if you have a bad year, because the next year, it can completely, totally change. So don't get upset if you have a bad year. So you're going to also participate in discussion 2.1 and participate in discussion 2.2. And guys, make sure you see the participation policy in the discussion board section of the expectations document for a detailed explanation of feedback requirements. So week 3, you're going to work on strategy and decisions for year 12. Company co-managers will generally need to meet outside of the class to complete their decision making for year 12. You're going to work on strategy and decisions for the years identified according to the class schedule. Guys, please keep in mind that I cannot extend a deadline on the decision rounds. You're also going to complete the BSG quiz 2. You have 75 minutes to complete the quiz, and it's worth 25 points. You're going to view the LP2 seminar, which is what you're doing now, and complete the assessment, and I'm going to give that to you at the end. So when we're looking at strengths, you want to look at where do we intend to go and why? What do we need to do and when? And how to best get the job done. We focus on the who. So the characteristics of the envisioned workplace strength is thinking strategically, the ability to see past today's issues and focus on longer-term destination. Setting a visionary destination is the ability to establish a positive future in the minds of others that doesn't exist today. Thinking inventively is the ability to conceptualize a working solution that can ultimately convert into a tangible product service offering. Generating imaginative ideas is the ability to see and articulate possibilities that are not purely grounded in experience. Thinking creatively, of course, is the ability to offer new thoughts on subject areas that others have not considered. Pioneering new ideas is the ability to create a new line of thought that has not yet been proven in practice. And brainstorming new ideas is the ability to work with others to co-create new ideas and new solutions. So the characteristics of the design workplace strength is analyzing situations, which of course is the ability to break down a situation into parts and understand those parts. You're defining clear policies, and that's of course the ability to establish well understood guidelines to help groups of individuals work in a unified way. You're defining detailed objectives, which is the ability to create explicit goals to direct the work of individuals and the organization overall. Planning budgets is the ability to establish and control the allocation of resources to achieve organizational goals. And establishing clear performance measures is the ability to create a standard mechanism to evaluate whether or not goals are achieved. Judging performances objectively is the ability to independently weigh evidence and form an opinion on personal and organizational results. And making decisions by the numbers is the ability to make a final choice based upon quantitative reasoning and measures. So the characteristics of the build workplace strength is implementing standard processes, is the ability to get work done effectively, efficiently, and consistently using a repeatable series of actions. Implement step-by-step procedures is the ability to get work done using an established set of instructions or checklists. Implement important projects is the ability to execute a planned set of activities to achieve a significant organizational or physical change. Implement integrative programs is the ability to unify a series of projects to achieve enterprise results. So, implement proven methods is the ability to use a well-established procedures to improve enterprise performance. Implementing practical solutions is the ability to solve problems by applying tools and techniques that are proven to be sufficient. Implementing roles and responsibilities, of course, is the ability to systematically execute activities through the enterprise's organizational structure. So the characteristics of the operate workplace strength is building personal relationships, and you guys know about personal relationships, working in teams, coaching others, supporting others, being able to relate to people, communicating, and changing spontaneously. And all of these workplace strengths were pulled from Forbes.com. That's a really good asset to use if you guys need it. So let's look at some weaknesses. An organization's weaknesses are another example of internal characteristics that can affect its operations and level of performance. Identifying weaknesses helps an organization spot problems so that it can make the necessary changes. This strategy allows decision makers to develop other, more appropriate alternatives in their strategic planning objectives when operations fail to perform as projected. So here's some examples of some weaknesses. They can include poor leadership, low employee morale, weak financials, low cash flow, outdated technology, and inefficient organizational functions or processes. One example of converting a weakness into a strength might be how an organization lacks the adequate financial resources, but it works to control costs in order to develop a more competitive advantage. And this was pulled from smallbusinesscron.com. So when we look at our first assignment, 2-1, you're going to, of course, work on the strategy and decisions for year 12. You're going to write a 1,000+ word paper, including 2 or more scholarly sources, answering the following. Which of the companies is competitively the strongest? Which is the weakest? Does the strongest company appear to have significant competitive advantage over the other 2 companies or other several companies? Why or why not? Explain your answer and integrate data, as far as report statistics from the simulation to support your answer. And be sure to explain what the data means and how it proves your answer. And when I said a while ago, when you look at the strongest company and the weakest company, I have had a situation to where there was a couple of companies tied to be the strongest and a couple of companies tied to be the weakest. But if that's not the case, just write on the weakest and then the strongest. And then, does it have significant competitive advantage over the other 2 companies? Okay, assignment 2-2, a resume. So this is pretty simple, guys. And what I did this time is I turned off the originality reports in resume because, you only have one resume unless you make up a resume. So we're going to have that originality cut off for that. So in the last one, you wrote a cover letter for a job in the field that you can apply for after graduation. This time, you're just going to write a resume. You're going to submit a copy. Just find a job posting out there in your field, and you're going to also submit the copy of that, and then just your resume. I have actually included my resume just for you guys to look at, and you can find some resume templates if you don't have one in Microsoft Office. But this is just a good example of my own resume. I've got the summary there, and then, qualification highlights. You're going to make sure you use the strong wording that pulls people in. Then you've got your experience, and if you'll go down and look at the experience, you see that I use the word directs, oversees, develops, researches. Those are the strong words that you're looking for when you're looking at resumes. And then I've got, other relevant experience. I've, of course, got education and training. And then I also have research projects and then my relevant coursework. So that's a pretty good example of a resume. I think it looks pretty good. So, group exercises. This is going to be our seminar assessment. So, what are the weapons of competition that rival companies in the athletic footwear industry can use to gain sales and market share? Are there any driving forces in the industry in which your company is competing? What impact will these driving forces have? Will they cause competition to be more or less intense? Will they act or boost or squeeze profit margins? List at least 2 actions your company should consider and taking in order to combat any negative impacts of the driving forces. And then lastly, what do you see as the key factors for being a successful competitor in your industry? List at least 3. Now, this is a group assignment. You guys can work together. You can do it together. You can all submit the same document, but you just have to submit the document, each and every one of you. So this is a team effort. I mean, you can break it down. You know, I think most teams are in groups of 3, so you know you can break it down and give one to first one, a second member of the team to second one, and you know, and so forth. So, in summary, just make sure you watch the tutorials, take a look at the PowerPoint slides in the BSG, talk to your teammates, and guys, again, it's so important to use time management in this class. You have a ton of assignments. So thanks. If you need me, just give me a call or send me an email.